Hello, I'm Ryan F9, and today I'm going to talk through 4 modular helmets that really make sense to me. First up is HJC's CL-Max 2, and at $190, this is about as cheap as I'm willing to go. Inexpensive modulars kind of scare me, because this flip-up mechanism here is inherently complex. So offering it a low price normally means that the manufacturer has to skimp out in other areas, namely weight, quietness, and worst of all, safety. What I love about the CL-Max 2 is that it cuts the right corners. No drop-down sunshade, which means that it saves weight and the EPS liner and shell don't have to make room for that extra lens. We also have fairly minimal ventilation, just small active vents on the chin bar and up on the forehead here, and then a tiny passive slit at the rear. Again, this helps the shell to stay pretty smooth and low in profile. The result is that this extra large comes in at 1,700 grams, which seems very light for a polycarbonate modular. I also suspect that the CL-Max 2 is on the safer end of its DOT rating thanks to the really uniform shell construction. Of course, it's also less safe than an equivalent full face thanks to the disjointed chin bar. I noticed a couple highlights that I didn't expect on a budget option. For one, there's a pinlock shield included in the box, which is nice because HJC didn't really have to do that on a $200 lid. We also get a one-hand glove-operable chin bar release, as well as this quick release shield. The former is going to save me time at every stoplight, so I'm a big fan of that. But the latter will save me about 30 seconds every 12 months when I switch my face shield once a year, so I'm kind of indifferent on that one. I also noticed that the CL-Max 2 has this Bluetooth port for a Chatterbox XBI2H intercom system. That's nice, but to be honest, Chatterbox is way behind the game. My preference would be to throw a center or Cardo on the outside one of these things anyway. I put a 20S on this helmet last year and didn't have any problems. I already said that the CL-Max 2 cuts the right corners, but to be honest, it also cuts 2 of the wrong ones. To make up for the subpar venting, HJC left a lot of room under here. And it does work to prevent fogging, but you're really going to find that it's drafty in the chin area. And on a related note, it's really loud in traffic. Even still, the CL-Max 2 is a budget modular helmet that actually works pretty well. My intermediate head fit this round shape alright, but long ovals should beware. While I like the CL-Max 2, I probably wouldn't buy one because for the same money I could get a full face that offers way better quality. If I'm getting a modular, my preference would be to save my pennies and then spend them on a more expensive lid. Speaking of which, HJC's RPHA-Max. I know, this is going to be the 3rd RPHA helmet I've reviewed this season, but other manufacturers are just going to have to suck it up because HJC is kicking ass with this series. $580 sets this guy well ahead of the baby brother that we just met. So what does that buy you? Well, there are 5 huge differences from the CL-Max. 1. The shell is woven together with carbon fiber, aramid, and fiberglass, meaning that this large clocks in at a featherweight 1,610 grams. 2. The ventilation is superior, with these active induction vents on the front, and then 2 big chimneys coming out the rear. 3. The interior is miles ahead. This is HJC's Cool Forever padding. It's moisture wicking, it's odor free, it's antibacterial, it's silky soft, the works. We also have a breath guard and a chin curtain that eliminates the draftiness of the CL model. And then there are grooves in the padding that make it easier to wear eyeglasses too. 4. The RPHA is fairly quiet on the road, while the CL-Max 2 had the soundproofing of an ice cream bucket. And 5. Internal sunshade on the RPHA-Max. I have a beef to pick with that last one though. The drop-down sun visor is a light smoke at best, which is nowhere near dark enough. But even worse, it's mounted with this goofy spring-loaded system. I hate this thing. It's needlessly complex, and as soon as the spring gets dusty or worn out, the sun shield won't retract all the way. And then you have to get in there with your fingers and actually push it up, which is really annoying on a $600 helmet. Even with the botched sunshade, the RPHA-Max would still be my first choice. The price jump is a little hard to stomach, but you're getting more value per dollar with the RPHA than anywhere else. As with all RPHA helmets, I'll tell you that this is an intermediate to round head shape, and be mindful that HJC has a separate sizing chart for the RPHA line. In the vein of premium helmets, we could jump another $200 to the 800 bone Shoei Neotec. I'm not going to run through all the paces on this one, because everything that was true of the RPHA is also true here, with 2 key exceptions. The biggest one is weight, and this large tips the scales at 1,760 grams, which is considerably heavier than the RPHA, and pretty much everything else for that matter, but we've seen this from Shoei before. What they do is they use a high-tech premium shell to free up weight and volume, but then they turn around and they fill that space back up again with soundproofing and with comfort padding. The result is a helmet that's very quiet and very comfortable, but not exceptionally light or slim. Because of this, I would say that the Shoei is perfect for long-distance touring and cruising. But on the flip side, sport tourers and adventure riders like myself will probably be happier in the RPHA. The other major difference is the sun visor. The Shoei's is legitimately dark, and it's on a proper 1-to-1 lever system, so it doesn't have any of the flaws that I just ranted at HJC about. Other than that though, the Shoei ticks all the same boxes that the RPHA did. Excellent build quality, top-end ventilation, we got a pinlock shield, a chin curtain, and a breath guard included in the box. It's an intermediate head shape, it's DOT approved, etc, etc, etc. In my experience, the Shoei fits a little on the snug side. My 58cm head would put me in the upper end of a medium according to the chart online, but I much prefer this large. Now obviously, there's an elephant that's not in the room today, and that's the diabolically expensive Schuberth C3 Pro. And the Schuberth is going to be lighter, it's going to be slimmer, it's going to be a rounder head shape than the Shoei, but those qualities just bring us back around to the RPHA-Max. And if I can have the RPHA for $580, I'm not going to spend $1,000 on the Schuberth. Of course, yes, the Schuberth is quieter than the RPHA, but it's $1,000, and I just can't spend that on something that's basically ruined when it falls off the seat of my bike. Now, I'm going to close with something fun, Nolan's N44. All modular helmets are transformers, but this one takes it to the next level, and I don't just mean that it looks like Bumblebee, which it does. The N44 can take 6 different configurations, and unlike the helmets that we've seen already, which aren't meant to be ridden in the open face position, you can actually use the Nolan in all of its formats, like a standard full face, or a goggle-ready off-roading helmet. Perhaps you prefer a jet helmet, a classic open face, an open face with a sun peak, or weirdly enough, a full face with no shield. It's a really neat trick that Nolan has pulled off with the N44. If I had one wish though, it would be that I could use the sun peak with the visor at the same time, because then I'd have an adventure helmet configuration for the icing on my cake. Even still, I'm getting a lot of helmet for $500, especially considering the drop-down sun visor, the chin curtain, the face shield vent, the 4 active intakes up top, 2 exhaust ports on the rear, NCOM hookup, and pinlock shield. There are a few downsides, of course. This is a polycarbonate shell, and I would expect to at least see fiberglass at this price point. Also, the chin bar has to come all the way off rather than just flipping up. It's not really that hard. I mean, you just press these 2 buttons and then it lifts off. But even still, I wouldn't want to be doing that at every red light. The other thing is safety. Most modular helmets are full faces that pretend to be open faces, but the N44 is an open face that pretends to be a full face. The chin bar is the least crash-worthy that we've seen, and the eye port is really comically large. Visibility is great, but a hole this big is a bit dangerous, and on the daily it makes the helmet really, really loud. But whatever. I still love the Nolan because it's truly unique and it has about 1 billion functions. The head shape is going to be intermediate, tending a little bit towards the long oval side, and my only complaint with the fit is that it folds my ears a bit. And that's it for my favorite modulars. As always, the product links are right down there, and thank you guys very much for watching.